Welcome back to another part of this F1 25 My Team Career Mode. This is part number 30 today for the Qatar Grand Prix for the very first time in this series. But we come off the back of an electric, heavy rain Las Vegas GP where we did the unthinkable. Yes, you are not mistaking your eyes. That is Tim Tramnitz, our F3 driver icon, on the top step. He won the race. We won the race driving as him. It was unfortunate for Jenson Button. I felt like it could have been a double podium if it wasn't for a slow pit stop, but it's still done wonders for us at the end of this season with 2 race weekends to go, including the sprint weekend here in Qatar. We are 1 point off Williams. So now it really is a very realistic possibility of us reclaiming that place from Williams, the place that we lost so long ago now, earlier in this season. You know, Williams really crushed us, but we kept the faith that the Phase 3 breakthrough upgrades would be our savior, and they have been. It's put us in the mixer. It's given us a chance to fight when the things go right, things go our way, like in Vegas, or just when we're on pace, when I'm feeling good in the car, and that has been the case in Vegas. Obviously wasn't really the case in Sao Paulo, and I'm hoping it will be for Qatar and the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Is at the same time, we're looking to adapt parts. We got a regulation change last episode for, it seemed like, the powertrain and just the tyre wear on the chassis side of things. I've actually re-noticed that on the powertrain side, it's actually only the main ICE components, so fuel and ERS are being left alone. So in 2 separate departments, it's a very specific row of R&D upgrades that's being reset, which is a new thing that we've not had in a previous F1 game. It's always been the entire department, which is pretty cool, but at the same time, obviously, already it's very apparent the new system where you spend money to adapt, it's a little bit flawed, because pretty much most of the teams you imagine will have the time and the money to adapt to most of the parts. It's almost like they really need some extreme R&D resets, or they need to go back to the old system where you spend R&D points rather than spending money to reset them. Yeah, I guess time will tell in this series, you know, in later seasons, how that actually plays out, because I'm only taking off what I've seen so far, and then other people online saying it because they've done multiple seasons. But right now, my experience, it's fine at the moment, but we'll see how it goes in future seasons. But for now then, we move our mind back to the task at hand, which is actually making sure we celebrate the victory in the activity timeline there, and also the usual kind of fan outreach for the secondary sponsors. But yeah, very important. We celebrated the victory with the activity when Button won in Canada, and we'll do the same for Tim Tramnitz. It's amazing that we've got this pairing, 1 race win each. Well, I'm hoping maybe we can add to that tally in the last 2 episodes. We've actually bought an upgrade as well, by the way, on the fuel side of things. Even though we're still waiting on the breakthrough powertrain upgrades, I thought, let's go ahead and purchase the fuel now that we know that actually isn't getting reset. So we can probably go ahead and try and get that on the car, maybe for Abu Dhabi, to give us a little booster on that side of things. But we are going to be swapping over to driving as Jenson Button, and because we did 2 episodes in a row driving as Tramnitz, that means we're going to end this season 2 with the last 2 races driving as Jenson Button in what might be his final races for this team and in Formula 1 on his return to the sport from the start of this series. So let's hope we can make it a good one and add to the tally of wins that he's got.
It's all about flow and pace today, qualifying in Qatar, a high-speed test that will set the grid for tomorrow's race. So welcome along.
It is a sprint weekend, of course, here in Qatar. So we've got sprint quali coming up first, with the short qualifying as per usual in the sprint weekends. And I can't remember for the life of me if this was the case in F1 24, but we're doing sprint quali in daylight around Qatar, around Lusail. Very, very odd, I must say, seeing the circuit in this light in the sunlight because I'm just so used to the nighttime, especially on this game, you know, gawking over how good this track looks at nighttime with path tracing. But in the daylight then, going qualifying and driving the car in anger with low fuel, getting ourselves up into only P8. I mean, it's a one and done lap, so it really is a case of just sussing at the circuit as we go. And oh my days, off the back of the race win we got with him, it looks like Tramnitz's AI is very focused because he, with his one lap, has got second place. He's on the front row, 0.052 off Lando Norris in the McLaren, Sainz in third, Hamilton fourth, and then you've got the three championship protagonists together, Verstappen, Leclerc, Russell, then we're in P8. You know, a little bit, you know, frustrating to be so far down the order. You know, when you look at the times there, we got nowhere near Tramnitz's time, but that's actually equally more impressive for him. Like, where the hell has that pace come from? So just maybe showing you that, you know, momentum in past results really do affect the AI so much. In a way where Tramnitz just outdid me by like 9/10 of a second. So now we go into the sprint. It is nighttime now. The floodlights are out, and we're looking to make up positions and hoping that Tim Tramnitz can maintain pace in this 10-lap sprint around Losail. As we all rev up to 5 red lights, and we are underway for a little dress rehearsal of the Grand Prix tomorrow, maybe. You may notice a lot of people on softs. We're on mediums, along with our teammate Tramnitz, who gets swarmed, unfortunately. He's down to P4-5, it was nearly, but he's actually managed to stay ahead of Verstappen as we make a double pass on Leclerc and Russell. The 1 and 2 in the championship get done, as that's a lovely little move by us. Very cheeky to get down the inside, because Russell would have been looking to his right where Leclerc was, and just the door was wide open, and we just waltzed on through it as Lando Norris leads the way then from Sainz, then one of the Ferraris, Hamilton that is, of course, with the other Ferrari behind us, and Tramnitz now defending Verstappen, the two of them wheel to wheel. Verstappen wide, Tramnitz comes back at him, and he's going to try and maintain P4. The two nearly make contact, and Tim Tramnitz sticks his foot in the whole time, and now we've come to save the day as we're going to come through on the right and shield him from the Dutchman. But that was all him. I cannot believe how much of a good defense he put up against the reigning champion into this season, of course, the 5-time champion. Very impressive stuff, but eventually we are going to have the overriding pace to make the overtake. Leclerc's now got past Russell and past Verstappen. He's up into P6, and he'll soon pass Tramnitz, I'm sure, as we focus towards Lewis Hamilton, setting a purple fastest lap of the race so far, as Hamilton overtakes Norris ahead of us to get into P2. Carlos Sainz is the one that leads the way, though, for Mercedes. So far, it's the teammates that aren't in the championship fight up at the top, and then you've got a McLaren and ourselves. There's yellow flags. Oh no, speak of the devil, Carlos Sainz. It's a commentator's curse, as we're just complimenting him and Hamilton. He's had an engine failure. We get down the inside of Lando Norris as Leclerc was coming at us at a rate of knots, so we've overtaken the McLaren before he gets the chance to overtake us. And meanwhile, Tramnitz is legitimately holding his own in P5. Leclerc may have easily got past him, but the 5-time champion, the Dutchman, cannot get past, neither can Russell, and so Tim is holding a very good P5 at the moment, and it's gonna be P4. Go on, Tramnitz with a great overtake into turn 1. Come on, get the elbow out, get the move done. He has done. Oh wow, what a boy, what a man. P4 for him. We're in second place. Is there half a chance for a double podium here in the sprint? I think that might be a little bit far off, because the Ferraris are looking very, very quick, as Piastri just continues to baffle me, and you at home as well. I saw a few comments saying that Piastri's downfall needs to be studied. He has been an enigma of an AI. Very, very baffling in the game so far. Cannot wait for him to get a driver rating bump in whenever that update comes, as we now try and get past Lewis Hamilton, the British driver here in Qatar. And It is close stuff there as we just got across. Hamilton tucked in, and that's the years of experience there, not making contact as he did so. He's down to second, but those Ferraris have looked mighty quick. But we have got the lead of the sprint as onto lap 9. Hamilton is going to come at us. We've got a little bit of battery to play around with, but not too much. I definitely want a bit more, but we're going to try and just stick to the inside and get back down the inside. Hamilton did get us initially. He probably thought the move was done, but we just roll off the throttle, let the car roll in there, scrub off the speed at the apex, and maintain first place all the way till the next and last lap of the Grand Prix. Lap 10, Tramnitz holding his own in P4, showing the car legitimately had the pace today to be up in these higher positions, and we've made the difference though versus some very quick Ferrari cars to get P1. It was the sprint win in Sao Paulo. It's the sprint win again here in Qatar for Jenson Button. This time we actually drove though as him rather than his AI, but it doesn't matter. His AI, me driving, either way, we're loving the sprints, it would seem, in this season. We should have added more. We should have added more of the tracks with the sprints in the calendar at this rate, because we've won both the sprints here available in the last third of the season. And more so, I'm not over Tramnitz's P4 there. That's really impressive for him. You know, some good overtakes, good defense against Verstappen. Really awesome. In the championship then, because of that result, Leclerc up there in third. Russell was way down the order behind Verstappen even. It means Leclerc has a healthy 6-point lead. But now we go into the full Grand Prix, you know, the full qualifying, full race. That's obviously more points on offer. There is still a chance that Russell can bring that back to make things close again into the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And the constructors, well, I've said it before, my bet is on, you know, basing off now the last few races and the sprint we just saw. I think Ferrari, they can overturn this championship. I mean, I think you saw there in the standings, they're already now up to second place. They were miles off in third at one point this season, but now they're into second, and I reckon they could actually go on to overturn up to first place. And somehow, if you look back at how their season began, they can actually defend their Constructors' Championship win from Season 1 into Season 2 here, as it's a really solid first lap for us in third place ahead of Piastri. Tramnitz is up there in P5 again, showing the car has some decent pace, but now others are finding more pace in their second laps. We are as well, as we kind of drifted our way through. A little bit of sliding in the first two turns. Actually gained us a bit of time here around Losail on this last flying lap under the floodlights. Max attack, lowers fuel, all the battery use. It's a purple first sector, green the second. We've lost a bit of time though at the end of that second sector, and in the last we didn't get the turn in as much as we wanted. In the final corner we've scrubbed off a bit of speed. In the end it will be just over 0.5 of a second gained, and that will get us up to second. That's really, I actually thought that wasn't going to be enough to even get up to the front row near it, but looks like things were very close actually, and it's an all-British front row. Lando Norris though on pole again. He was on sprint pole, but clearly the McLaren still maybe lacking a little bit of race pace in there, you know, from what it used to have in Season 1. Verstappen and Russell, third and fourth, they're going to be really happy looking down the order. Leclerc P8, Hamilton 12th. What happened to Ferrari? What on earth happened to Ferrari? Very baffling. Almost like another commentator's curse there from me, because I just gave them a massive compliment. But something's gone on, because where has that sprint pace gone? It's either that or all the teams around us, they've found more on the setup. Obviously, you can change the setup from sprint to the full race, so people have found a lot of performance there. We have, of course, obviously over one lap. Tramnitz, really decent P6, but I think there's going to be a fascinating Grand Prix to come up, because now maybe things have changed a little bit from the sprint. I would have said Ferrari might dominate the main race, but now it's anyone's game with them down the order in traffic.
Welcome back to Qatar and the Losail International Circuit. There's a long history of two-wheeled motorsport action here, but in 2021, Lewis Hamilton won out as part of an epic battle that year with Max Verstappen. But who will win out tonight? So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And it's Jenson Button alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Russell, Oscar Piastri and Tramnitz, Gasly, Leclerc, Tsunoda and Alex Albon, Lawson, Hamilton, Carlos Sainz and Antonelli, Stroll, Doohan, Franco Colapinto and Esteban Ocon, Hadjar, Bortoletto, Hulkenberg and Paul Aron rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. And alongside me today, former Formula One driver and former world champion too. See, told you I'll give you a big intro. Anthony Davidson, hello. So we come to Qatar this weekend, and what's the word I'm looking for when I think about the middle part of this track? Relentless.
The whole track's relentless. It's predominantly built to be a motorbike circuit. For an F1 car, that means a lot of G-force. It's hot here, it's humid this time of the year that we come to in Formula One, and this puts pressure on the drivers. It also puts pressure on the car and the demands of the tyres. So it's a brutal circuit.
Now, historically, Qatar has always been a very, tough one for tyres, let's say, a real tyre eater circuit. We've got some very weird choices, though. Some people on the softs, which might point towards a two-stop for some of these AI teams. But at the same time, we've seen the pattern that the AI teams have been very good with the tyre upgrades, and it's been very efficient for them. So I imagine, actually quite weirdly, maybe this is actually still going to be a one-stop for them, from soft to hard or soft to medium, which would be quite crazy, to be honest. I, for one, think it's going to be at least a medium to hard, but I've also got the opportunity to go medium and two softs. So that is an option. In the past, on the previous two F1 games, I've actually really enjoyed the two-stop around Losail, because if you go early enough, if you commit early enough, you can gain so much. But F1 25 is very different with the tyre wear, and in the racing being a lot better, maybe it'll be beneficial just to be up there with the track position instead of having the outright tyre advantage. So let's play this by ear. First and foremost, we're on the front row, so just want to try and get a good start and maybe bag the first place into turn one if we can. It's a long run, but there's some very quick cars behind us as well to worry about as we go to lights out, and we're underway for the full Qatar Grand Prix. A lot of wheel spin for the pole sitter, and it's an electric start for us as Jenson Button into turn one. It's the dream start. A little bit wide at the apex, but we are into first place. Lando down to second. Verstappen and Piastri making good starts. They're both up to third and fourth. Russell down the order. The silver arrow has gone backwards. Leclerc has jumped up 2 positions, I think that will be, from P8 to P6. So now Russell and Leclerc are next to each other, as actually fully next to each other are Gasly and Alexander Albon. We haven't, focused a lot on Williams in the last few races because they've just been kind of nowhere, really dropping off. Obviously, they're now the team at the bottom of the R&D pack. But there is an improvement for sure for them this episode, and they're in the mixer for a couple of points. But right now, we're fighting for first. So I think it's pretty much nailed on that we're going to be overtaking the constructors. I mean, off the sprint race, we already have done. But now let's see if we can do even more damage to them in the full Grand Prix. Is on to lap 2. There's movements going on behind Russell on Piastri. So far, we've kept Lando Norris at bay. We've extended our lead a little bit. The McLaren is on soft, so he will be trying to make use of those tyres, and at some point you feel like the AI consistency will come back at me a little bit, and it's not going to be long before the McLaren comes knocking on the door. Meanwhile, Hamilton way down the order, P10 he's recovered to from what was, I think, like P12 at one point in the race. The 2 Williams have swapped positions. Tsunoda now ahead of Albon. Tramnitz down to P7. Leclerc up to P6 now, so he is making moves and keeping up with Russell as Tramnitz goes a little bit backwards in this full race. Let's hope we can have another strong end to the race like he had in the sprint, as here comes and there goes Lando Norris in the McLaren. with that kind of move, there's no point trying to be too rash with the defense. You saw he was so much quicker with the overspeed. I didn't have enough battery to really defend. I might have enough, though, to come back at him, though. Now we're the ones with DRS. Also, at the same time, I feel like at Losail, you can be patient, letting a car by to overtake you, because you know as long as you keep up with them in Sector 2 and 3, you can repass them, as we try and do so. But on the exit, we nearly had Lando try and go back around the outside. So we had to work for that a little bit more than you would like into the exit of that sequence of corners, as Verstappen is going to plow past Russell. I think that was at the same time as we actually made the move on Norris, so that was a little bit of a count back replay. This is now back to the live action as Russell repasses Verstappen. So in the same way that we repassed Lando, Russell's repassed Verstappen there, as Hamilton is getting overtaken, is that, by Tsunoda. So he had actually got the move on the Williams, but Tsunoda comes back at him, showing Williams do have actually a bit of an uptick in performance, as Tramnitz now down to P9. Unfortunately, on the heavier fuel loads, it seems like Tim cannot perform as he did in the sprint. Obviously, higher fuel levels, the car's a lot different, the tyre is also a factor, and that's probably hurting him a little bit more, as now Lando is all over the back of us. The McLaren trying to use its soft tyres before they go off, and he's got down the inside. We try and close the door, but the McLaren nearly smashes into us. Lando very aggressive with the dive there, and now Russell and Verstappen are behind us and have joined the party, as we're now the chaser once again in this battle for first place. But that was really aggressive from Lando. I mean, good to see, but definitely caught me by surprise into the right-hander. If we hadn't turned out like that split-second left movement on the steering wheel, we would have had a bit of contact on the front right, and that could have been some front wing damage. So we've done well as we're going a little bit wayward in the dirty air. The understeer is kicking in, and now Russell is there within half a second just about. So we need to make the repass on Lando, to be honest, because there comes the silver arrow as we try and blip the ERS, and we're going to have to go for a filthy dive bomb to try and get this pass. Lando comes back at us. We're going to be wheel to wheel. We lose the back end. We're going to keep our foot in, though, and it's absolutely awesome racing through the next sequence, left and right. We're up into P1, though. Lando, by a fraction, is behind, and we're going to just ease him out. And now I'm hoping Russell can come knocking on the door, but more so, the pit stop will come knocking on the door, because my tyre icon on the bottom right there, brick orange. I can't imagine Lando's is much better on soft, surely, but we've also seen the AI. They seem to be very good on the tyres on this year's game. They've made those upgrades, and they seem to be a lot more effective than the player, it seems. So that's why we're here, going from a medium to, I can confirm, we are going to go to a set of hards and not go for the two-stop, because I just think we're there. We're fighting legitimately for the lead. Let's not mess it up. Let's stick with these cars and just kind of mirror people. And actually, it's Russell that mirrors me, and he comes in at the same time. Verstappen's continued on, but myself and Russell looking for the undercut on the Dutchman. And, oh my God, it's another slow pit stop. Unbelievable. Right now, I don't have a personnel slot available. Once it's available, I need to buy the pit crew upgrade. It's an absolute joke. We've had, what, 3-4 slow pit stops in the last 5 races, and it's really hurting us. It cost Button a podium in Las Vegas last time out. I really hope it doesn't cost us a win or a podium here, as thankfully for me and Russell as well, who's trying to catch Lando as well, Colapinto and another car holding up the McLaren, an absolute treat. So now all of a sudden, the advantage that Lando gained from the undercut has been completely eradicated. Russell going for the move on the outside. Oh, there's contact. Russell's pushed wide. There's more contact as he comes back at Lando Norris. It really is the battle of Britain as we come through to take second, and we've taken a leaf out of Russell's book and been very aggressive with the papaya car as we both kind of practically bully him out of the position, and we're now up into first and second, but 3 Brits in the top 3 here in Qatar. The Dutchman, can he come through and slice through all of us? We're about to find out. He's got a bit more pace in the tank. He's kind of been lurking around, but can we have the pace to overtake Russell, to retake P1? We go to the left-hand side, the racing line, and we get to the apex. We cut across Russell and make sure he can't get down the inside. We are back into first place, and you can see we've genuinely got some decent pace here to be fighting for this win, but it looks like all of us are quite equalised because Lando's now coming back at Russell, but Russell is still maintaining the pressure on yours truly, and the Mercedes is very strong in the middle sector, it would seem, and into the final one. And of course, battery use is a bit of a difficulty for us. We're saving battery for the main straight, but that invites Russell back in, and now we're making contact with the silver arrow as he barges past us. Russell in a real hurry to retake the lead, but thankfully, obviously, we're playing this tactical. You know, we invited him in because we weren't using the battery, because I wanted to save it all for this main straight to come back at anyone who made an overtake on us. It just so happens to be the silver arrow, but it could have been the McLaren as we fake to the left, go to the right, and get back down the inside. And that is why I didn't want to overuse battery in Sector 2, because we needed enough to make sure we could book in this pass. But now, look who's joined the party. Verstappen, for the first time, is within 1 second of P3. And now you've got McLaren chasing after the Merc and the Red Bull looking at both of them. Russell has to go defensive, though, and these two squabbling. Lando round the outside. It's a real good attempt by the McLaren, and those two are now slowing each other up. Look at the time gap to us. We're now over a second to second place. This is fantastic for us. If these guys carry on fighting, we can really run away with this, as the gap now to Russell is up to 2 seconds, and they are continuing to squabble behind. Verstappen still not getting involved. He's being a very, very patient man, and I suppose he's seen that maybe the lead of the race is out of the question. So now it's a case of, can he just maximize things and get the P2, because he pit the latest out of everyone, so he has the freshest hards, and the McLaren just cannot get past the Mercedes. So it's just a case of waiting, as it's Leclerc and Hamilton, P5 and 6. It's a good recovery from the Ferrari cars, but where is that sprint pace gone? I mean, I say that, they're just down the road here, as Verstappen now is finally making a move. He's going to overtake the McLaren and get up into third place. There's a couple of lapped cars making things very, very awkward. The Audis getting right in the middle of it, and that actually stops Verstappen overtaking Lando. The lapped car actually blocked him off a little bit, as on lap 21, at the same time of those guys fighting, Hamilton overtook Leclerc on the inside. I guess there's no team orders, because that was a really aggressive move from Hamilton. He's up into P5. This surely is a disaster for Leclerc. Why aren't there team orders for Ferrari there? Leclerc's in the title fight, and he's now lost some points potentially by the end of the race, as Verstappen is now finally past Lando up into third. Leclerc goes for the repass, but Hamilton on the outside fighting him back, and the two Ferraris now are going at it wheel to wheel through this entire first sector. They'll go. I mean, it's wonderful racing between the two teammates, and they're both no strangers to a good fight around Losail, but that has just done Leclerc no favours, because he's still P6, and they've now both lost time to Lando Norris in P4, as Verstappen has just made the move on Russell. Lap 24, the Red Bull is up to second, and that's maximising everything, as that's Lawson going slow. Lawson slow, and he's going to retire just off the pit lane entry, which is a bit of an awkward location to retire the car, and that is actually going to bring out this safety car with 5 laps to go. There was the ponder about, oh, do we come in? But no, I think it's just a case of staying out, and we've just got to try and nail this restart, because now, well, now maybe the F1 gods are looking down upon Max Verstappen. He's just overtaken everyone up to second, and this now gives him a chance to get the elusive win that he really desperately needs to have any kind of chance of really getting himself back into the championship fight. Whereas Russell, he'll be happy today being P3. Leclerc, down the order behind Hamilton in P6. This will definitely bring things back together. Remember, going into the main race after the sprint, it was 6 points between Leclerc and Russell, Leclerc leading. So now this might just bring it right back into play with only like a handful or even just 1 point, I think, between the two. So let's see how this goes on the restart, as we are playing a very, very coy game here on the restart, because I'm in charge. I can go whenever I want, and we're not going to, break too hard and pull a Piastri at Silverstone. We're just going to make sure that we line this up and then nail the power, and we have absolutely done Max Verstappen, which is not an easy feat. It is not easy. It's not every day that you pull a fast one on Max Verstappen, especially on a safety car restart, but we've done just that, and just like we were before the safety car, we're bolting away into the distance as Tramnitz overtakes Sainz to get 8th place on the second last lap. Great stuff there from Tramnitz. Piastri 7th, Leclerc 6th, and he'll be really anguishing looking at the rear wing of his teammate. What is going on with Ferrari? It's the last lap now. If they were clever, they would be swapping these positions, but I guess Hamilton would ignore team orders anyway. He's retiring after the next race, and so this is going to hurt Leclerc in the Drivers' Championship a lot more than it needs to. Verstappen might gain a little bit, but it won't be enough, I think, in second place with Russell in third. But meanwhile, we take focus back to ourselves here through the final couple of corners. It was the sprint win yesterday around Losail, and today it's the full Qatar GP win. It's the second win for Jenson Button this season. It's the third win for this team in its history on this game. Oh, wow. What a win. What a weekend. Real good performance as JB. And long may it continue into that final race in Abu Dhabi.
Of all his wins, this he'll be most proud of. It's victory once again for Jenson Button.
Well, they showed true grit out there today, Crofty. A steely determination not to be outdone by the rough circumstances. Many points that came their way today. A job well done. Not the easiest of days, but they walk away with a race victory.
Well, what a thrilling end to an incredible Grand Prix weekend. Our top 3 finishers should be incredibly happy with what they were able to achieve out there today.
That was a really, really decent win, going toe-to-toe with Russell, Norris, Verstappen, some real great scraps in there, but we held our own. We were clever with the battery use today, sacrificing in sectors 2 and using it when we needed to. But in the Drivers' Championship, elsewhere, because we're nowhere near, obviously, the championship fight in the Drivers, it's 1 point now, I think you saw there, between Leclerc and Russell. Into the final race, 1 point separates Leclerc and Russell being crowned a new Drivers' World Champion. And in the Constructors, it is all to play for. 11 points separates the top 3 teams. Merc, Red Bull, Ferrari. It's game on for Abu Dhabi. And then very nicely, to add a bit of drama, you've got ourselves, you've got McLaren, at least with Lando, up there in the mixer, being a bit of a spanner in the works. So next episode's the last race. For us, we just want to end the season on a high and try and maybe get another great result for JB for maybe one last time. But in the middle of that, we could be an important cog in the Drivers and the Constructors Championship fight, even though it doesn't involve us. But, we are very comfortably now ahead of Williams. The redemption arc, the climb, has successfully gone to plan, and we'll carry on climbing. It's not just for season 2. The climb is going to go on into the winter and into season 3, and this is the kind of way we want to end this second season to put us in a good morale position for season 3. Guys, if you have enjoyed this one, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. When you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.